The Newsday continues here on One News Now Business. I'm Diego Castro. Here are the biggest stories on the economic and corporate fronts. Socio-Economic Planning Secretary Arsenio Balisacan says economic growth likely rebounded in the third quarter. Balisacan says the government has addressed the issue of underspending, which has been identified as one of the reasons for the disappointing 4.3% expansion in the second quarter. Agencies have been ordered to submit catch-up spending plans to address utilizations. Balisacan also says the economic team has been reporting the state of the catch-up plans to the president. The NEDA chief also remains unfazed by recent growth downgrades by multilateral lenders and institutions. Balisacan says trimmed forecasts were expected amid continued global headwinds. The Asian Development Bank has unveiled capital management reforms that will boost lending capacity by $100 million in the next 10 years. The lender aims to fend off the effects of various crises in Asia and the Pacific, including climate change and rising cost of living. ADB's reforms will expand the bank's annual new commitments capacity to over $36 billion, or about a 40% increase. It plans to offer up to $360 billion in financing to its member countries and private sector clients, all while preserving its AAA credit rating by taking a more granular approach to analyzing risks, as well as adjusting downward estimates of unexpected losses. It's also looking to create a $12 billion counter-cyclical lending buffer, which will support developing country members in case of unexpected crisis. Additionally, a recovery plan has been introduced to safeguard ADB's capital during financial stress. The Budget Department says they have so far received at least 8 applications for positions in the Maharlika Investment Corporation, or the corporate investment body that will manage the Maharlika Investment Fund. Budget Secretary Amena Pangandaman says that as of 2 weeks ago, at least 3 applicants are seeking the CEO position. Pangandaman believes more applicants came in the past days ahead of the deadline on Wednesday. Most applicants were bankers and some are from overseas. Total applications will be reported to Pangandaman today, as the budget chief said she will help conduct candidate deliberations. 6 positions overall were available: President and CEO of the MIC, 2 regular directors, and 3 independent directors. Recommendations will be made to President Marcos on October 2. We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Diego Castro. The government will likely meet next week to discuss possibly lifting the price cap on rice. According to the Economic Planning Department, the government will look at the outcomes of the price ceiling on the grain. Economic Secretary Arsenio Balisacan admitted that the department wants the price cap lifted soon since it, quote, creates a lot of problems. Some economists earlier spoke against the measure, saying it could result in shortage. Economic Secretary Arsenio Balisacan admitted that the department wants a price cap lifted soon since it, quote, creates a lot of problems. Some economists earlier spoke against the measure, saying it could result in shortage. Executive Order number 39 took effect on September 5. It mandated the 41 and 45 peso price ceiling on the staple. The Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board confirms that there will be an increase in minimum fares for jeepneys starting next week. The LTFRB says it will release the decision on Tuesday. The board says, though, that it has yet to decide how much the increase will actually be. They are currently looking at varying fare hikes in different petitions by transport groups, including one that seeks a nationwide implementation. The LTFRB also says it must still consult with the National Economic and Development Authority, as a fare hike is expected to have an impact on inflation.
We guarantee you by Tuesday afternoon, meron na po kami sigurong nakahandang desisyon dito. So, ang issue here is dalawa, magbibigay ba oo o hindi. Ang inclination ng board is, of course, in favor of the transport groups. Pero ang issue magkano, we will have to differ, at least rely or take guidance from NEDA.
Transport groups also urge the LTFRB to speed up the rollout of fuel subsidies. According to latest data from the board, the Land Bank has only so far rolled out funds for barely 122,000 of the 250,000 beneficiaries. The agency explains that they are addressing issues with some recipients' accounts. The LTFRB also says it has yet to begin distribution for tricycle drivers and delivery riders, saying that the DTI and DILG have not submitted a list of beneficiaries.
Yung mga card kasi kung minsan hindi nagagamit ng matagal, ang bangko po, pag nag-stale po yung account, hindi ho na magamit kaagad. So, kailangan nilang pumunta sa Land Bank para ho ma-update. Hindi ho ibig sabihin nito, hindi nila matatanggap.
To weigh in on the looming jeepney fare hike next week, we have with us on the show Elvira Medina, chairperson of Commuter's Group, National Center for Commuter Safety and Protection. Good morning, ma'am. Thank you very much for joining us now.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Okay, ma'am, let's get right to it. I'm sure you saw the last report that there is going to be a fare hike. So what are your thoughts po on this?
Actually, I have already submitted to the LTFRB a position paper which tells that we are amenable to a 1 peso increase because we know that 1 peso would mean a 0.3% inflation rate, and we know that. So I did not agree to the 2 pesos which the traditional jeepneys are asking for, because I said it is unfair for these traditional jeeps to punish the commuters for their inefficiency. So I agreed with the 1 peso, and we agreed to even do it nationwide, because although the labor cost or the wage hike in the provinces are not as big as the ones that are implemented here in the metro, but still the cost of living in the provinces is not as high as those in the metro. So I think that is a balance of a very fair decision if they will give the 1 peso fare hike.
So to make it clear, ma'am, you want the 1 peso and you're opposing the 2 peso, but are you open to discussing or talking to the LTFRB more in case na naging 2 pesos pa ang napag-decision po nila?
The problem is this. The last time they sent me a notice is for a meeting on the 26th. That was 2 2 days ago,
Yes.
and it was supposed to be at 1:30 in the afternoon. But then suddenly in the morning, I received a call saying that it's going to be 10 o'clock. And I received the call at 8:35 in the morning.
Okay.
There are rules of procedures that is followed in all government agencies regarding information settings, especially when it tells about stakeholders like us. Remember that the commuters are 80% of the total population,
Correct.
and
Yes,
we're
ma'am.
95% of the total voters. And then this morning again, I received a call saying that there will be another meeting just before we called it, we were able to get in touch with each other, uh, saying that on the 3rd there's going to be a meeting. But I told them, is it not a proper way? These phone calls are not a proper way of informing stakeholders. There are procedures. You either send us a letter or by email, and then it is very very. This is only so many days before
Yes.
the the date, and I have a meeting, another meeting that is already scheduled a week ago for that day that they are saying that it's in Tuesday. They want us to meet on Tuesday, and at 10 a.m. again. So I said I cannot be there.
Okay, ma'am. So
I
sorry pa.
I,
Go
I,
ahead.
I cannot attend the meeting because they have not been giving the proper way. They have not been doing the proper way of communicating to stakeholders.
So, ma'am, you're saying po that there is, in the industry, there is a proper lead time that needs to be observed, and that the people you are talking to are not giving you this proper lead time. Now, was this is
These
this an
are
oversight?
rules of procedure.
Is this an
These are
oversight
rules
po?
of procedures of the government
Okay.
agencies. Unfortunately, they're not following the government rules of procedure. So it is impossible for people like us
Yes.
whose help is needed by many sectors. Hindi lang sila yung pinagtatrabahuhan ng NCCSPI. We have other things to do like training the commuters on how to keep safe. Like now, the road rage is having a rush. So we're trying to save all the moments that we can to teach the how to mitigate road crashes.
That's right.
Road rage.
That's right. The escalating
So,
cases of road rage have been really on the news this following days. My question is, you see it left and right that the jeepney drivers and our operators are talking about how difficult it is for them. But could you tell us how difficult it is for commuters now that inflation
well,
is also elevated?
it is worse for the commuters. We should understand that. The commuters will now have to pay 1 peso more. Most commuters take at least 3 rides to get to where they are supposed to work. 3 rides going back. So that means an additional of 6 pesos a day. But that's because of the the wage hike. It is easy to absorb 6 pesos but not 12 pesos.
Okay.
It cannot happen.
And ma'am, fuel price hike, kalaban po commuter and drivers, both sides. What do you think
Right.
should be done to address this problem so that, we could appease and we could make life easier for both sides?
I have already tried meeting with the groups of Pasang Mazda and the bus operators because the jeepney drivers are already cooperativized. So they are in cooperatives. And cooperatives are given special privilege regarding their inputs. They can have tax-free inputs. And that is something that they have not applied for. So I said, let's have a meeting, talk to the CDA, and ask them to apply to you the privileges of tax-free inputs. And I was informed also that even units can be tax-free if they are imported. So, I cannot understand why some people are dragging their feet to discuss this. But I think proper persons like people in the Senate will listen to us.
Yes, you've been talking about tax-free inputs, ma'am. How about suspending
Yes.
for the meantime excise taxes?
I don't think the government will approve that because that will apply to everybody.
Okay.
That's going to be a universal privilege for just about everybody. But the privilege of tax-free inputs will apply only to cooperatives who are in the transport industry and some other industries that are listed in the cooperatives code.
Well, again, thank you for your insights and your wisdom. But unfortunately, ma'am, that's all the time we have. Ma'am Elvira Medina.
Thank you very much for inviting me to your program, and
Y-
I appreciate it.
yes, ma'am. And that was Elvira Medina, chairperson of Commuters Group National Center for Commuter Safety and Protection. Good morning.
Thank
And those are the top business stories of the hour. I'm Diego Castro. Join us again at 2 p.m. We are One News, all sides, all the time.